Alright everyone, so today we're going to talk about another hero that is actually pretty important, another champion that you will most likely use in a lot of areas, and that is Venomage. Now Venomage is also part of the starter link, or one of the starter links that I've been using on this channel for quite some time. And again, when we're not talking just specifically about the Clanboss, the Tholin starter link is still absolutely insanity. It includes, amongst other champions, also Venomage, and in my opinion, he's just insane. First of all, if you have an early game account, then he's just incredible because he helps you not only in a lot of the Doom Tower stages against another spider, for example, but you can also utilize him on the Clanboss. We're going to talk in a moment about why exactly that is. But even in a late game account, he can be very useful. I use him on my main account quite regularly, actually, in order to defeat the Cursed City boss on hard and normal, and we're going to talk in just a second about why exactly that is, how you should actually equip him, what kind of masteries you can go for. That is obviously always a bit of a personal twist to it too, depending on where exactly you use him and for what, but just a general idea on how to use Venomage and why he is actually so good in some of these situations. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So right off the bat, when we're talking about Venomage, he's a lizard man, he's also magic affinity, and if you're just looking at his attributes, he is actually damage based, so he's attack based. And a lot of what we're talking about here and why he's actually quite solid is actually the heal reduction. So if you're looking at just the general ratings, there's obviously quite a bit missing. He excels on Demon Lord for reasons that we're going over in just a moment. He is also a champion that deals a lot of damage with poison, and that's why in the Dragon's Lair he is very good. So if you've been playing the game for a while, then you know that there's actually a lot of poisoners in the game that can completely solo the Dragon's Lair, but that's one of the reasons why he's strong here. And then of course Faction Wars also really solid addition. So there's a couple of regions where he is quite good. The one thing that isn't mentioned here is that against the Nether Spider in the Doom Tower, there's a lot of team compositions where the heal reduction is insanely important, so you can use him there. And then we also have, as I already mentioned, the Cursed City, where he can be quite strong. Now, there aren't that many epics that have a solid heal reduction on them, so that's why he actually excels in that role. There's a couple of legendaries that you can play around with as well, but this is one of the more reliable ones. And specifically when we're talking about the boss in the Cursed City, you usually have to also depend a bit on what's in rotation right now, and he's there a lot. So Venomage in general, if you look at the passive, so every time that somebody's under a heal reduction, you have less damage inflicted upon you, which is actually quite nice if you're going up against a big boss. It's just a general nice thing to have. And when we're talking specifically about the heal reduction on his A3, the cool thing here is that booked you have a 3-turn cooldown, and you also have an attacks all enemy. So if you book this fully, then you have a guaranteed heal reduction, and you also place some poisons. Now the poisons become more important if you're going up against bosses, but the heal reduction is really what helps you against another spider. It helps you against Aminus, against the boss in the Cursed City, and also, by the way, against, I guess, mimics. I have to admit that I never used Venomage against mimics. I usually have others that are a little bit better in there, Marshalt, for example, and a few others. But if you have Venomage as heal reduction and you want to use him for Grim Forest, then of course you can also utilize that against mimics and just make sure that they don't get that heal, which is usually the key to defeating a lot of them. So again, if you've been struggling with mimics, heal reduction is your friend, and he's one of the best champions here of the epic side that can actually apply that. Now on the A2 we have a decreased defense and also a decreased attack. This is one of the reasons why he is also so strong against the Clanboss. It's not only the poison themselves, but it is this particular spell. Against the Clanboss, depending on what you're running, it can actually make sense, and again, I'm not saying it always does, but it can make sense to cut out the A3 because you don't want that heal reduction to take up a slot on the debuff bar, since you can only have 10 debuffs at the same time on the Clanboss. So while he is applying poison as well, it takes over one slot. And again, it's very heavily dependent on what else you're running in your lineup. But if you don't have problems to load up the debuffs with poisons anyways, and you're more interested in getting the decreased defense and decreased attack in too, then it can in some cases make sense to just completely shut down the A3 and only use the A2 and the A1. But on his A2, again, decreased defense, decreased attack. That's one of the reasons why he's so strong on Clanboss, because you're always looking for those. You want to apply a weaken 2 if you can, but this is 2 of the most important ones. Decreased attack keeps you alive, decreased defense increases your damage, so that's already a big plus. If you're not too worried about overloading the debuff bar, then his A3 applies the extra poison as well, and that's something that you want, of course, too. On the A1, again, nothing too insane here. You have a chance of activating a couple of poisons. You also have to destroy max HP. You're only attacking a single enemy and 2 times. Nothing too insane here. Again, most of what we're talking about is when we're looking at his A2 and at his A3. And then I guess the passive also plays a role, specifically when you're going up against the Cursed City boss. You have an aura where you increase the AC a little bit, your accuracy. That can play a role depending on what you're trying to tackle. If you're generally low in accuracy, you're not reliant on the speed aura, and you don't have someone that gives you a higher accuracy, like Mithrala, for example, then he can also be your man right there. So let's go a little bit into the masteries and go a bit also into what you should go for when we're talking about items. And, well, let's jump straight in. So my own Venomage here is, I want to say, optimized a little bit for mainly the Cursed City boss. That's where I use him the most. Now, it depends a bit on what's actually in the rotation on Cursed City. But when you look at the overall stats here, one of the things that was important to me, I really need him to survive. He's a debuffer in the first place for me. Obviously, his primary attribute is attack, but he's a great example of a champion that doesn't necessarily rely on the damage that they dish out. So I don't care how much damage Venomage does with his A1 or with attacks in general. So I do not go for 100% crit rate, and I don't go for crit damage with him. His role is a different one. He is a debuffer, so as a debuffer what he needs is high accuracy. I have him on 450 right now, using perception and also some speed gear with 265 speed. He's not in insane territory, but it's some solid speed numbers that he's able to get out just so I rotate through the abilities quickly. And then we're talking about keeping him alive with the hit points, where I'm sitting at like 78,000 right now and 3,000 defense. But the main thing is really get him high enough in accuracy that you're confident that he can actually reliably land his A3 and his A2, and then try and keep him alive and of course make him fast. So for that reason, when you're looking at the stats here, we have a chest plate with defense. There's a couple of ascendancies. I haven't fully ascended the items here, but could go into defense here. I have them on HP gloves as well, so just boosting the HP wherever I can. And then when you're talking about boots, in this case he doesn't even have a 6-star boot, he has like 5-star boots. And they don't have speed as an ascendancy, but HP again. So it's all about just keeping him fast. So the whole idea here is really just make him as hit point heavy as you can, get the accuracy in, and get that speed in. And that's exactly what he's there for. Because the one thing that I really want to accomplish with him is I want to use him as that debuffer that he needs to be. And when we're going up against mimics, when we're going up against another spider, or as I already said, against the Cursed City boss, the most important thing is to land your heal reduction. So once that's done, you're actually golden. Now you could go down the support path very aggressively and could go down here into Eagle Eye for the extra accuracy if you're struggling to get that. Now me personally, I'm running quite well with him here on Perception gear, which I have quite a lot of, and also the speed gear. You could try and make him a little bit more tanky, but generally if you run Perception gear and you get him fast enough, you don't necessarily need Eagle Eye. If, on the other hand, for whatever reason, you're really struggling to get him to a point where you can land your debuffs, then going farther down into the support tree is definitely an option. You could also go into the defense tree. You don't have to go offense. With offense, it's usually that you're trying to go into War Master, specifically if you're using him at some point to go up against the clan boss or other bosses. This is a really nice source of extra damage that you have. It can help you, and if you don't feel the need to really go down the defense tree, for example, this is a really nice one to pick up. If, for example, you're early on in your raid career and you use Venomage in your clan boss endeavors, then this is something that could get you, to that 2 key, to that 1 key that you need to go, because initially you're kind of struggling for every single bit of damage you can get, and War Master is fantastic in that setup. So in addition to the poison damage that he gets out, you then go for War Master and make your mark there. But outside of that, when we're looking just over at the support tree, you're obviously picking up some accuracy here. Typically, you want to go into Law of Steel. And as I said before, if you're really, really struggling to get enough accuracy to land your debuffs, then Eagle Eye is an option. Most people don't go for this. They have other tools to get him there. But if you're struggling, this is always something that you can actually go for. In this case, when it comes to the blessing, I mean, again, any blessing that you have is always nice because of the extra stats that you get. I have mine currently here in Iron Will. You can always experiment with this a little bit. For me, it was mostly about the extra HP that I'm getting here. It's just all about survivability, because specifically when you're talking about the hard Cursed City boss, that guy just hits like a truck, and if you don't have a lineup that can keep Venomage consistently alive, then it's starting to get tricky. So any bit of HP that he has and survivability on his own is always super helpful. So that's basically the reason behind this. Don't have a relic on him right now. There's a couple that you can go in for. Again, it depends a bit on what actually you're looking for. Most of the time, I would supposedly still go for something that gives you, I don't know, some additional survivability. In this case, you have your extra heal in, you get a bit more accuracy. You could go for Gilded Dragonstone as well to just boost your defense. I'm running fairly alright with mine, so I don't need anything of this. His main job these days is just to assist me with my Nether Spider combo and also with the boss in Cursed City. Those are his main tools in the late game. I don't need him for Clanboss anymore. I have better alternatives when I'm facing off against Mimics. But if this is something, you know, where you're just not there yet, if you're not in the late game yet, then equip him with a decent relic that keeps him alive, that just supports that a bit. And then you can, again, get him into a good position to get through all of this. So that's basically the whole idea about Venomage. As I said, look for the stats a little bit, try and get him high on speed, try and get him good on accuracy, and then you can use him in all of those areas. Heal reduction is really absolutely key. You need it in so many areas in the game against so many bosses. So again, Nether Spider, Cursed City boss, Mimics, this is really where you want to use him, or early in the raid career against the clan boss. So if you have a Venomage and you're not using him in these situations, then you're kind of doing it wrong. So I hope this helped a little bit for people that might be a bit newer to the game and are currently, if not struggling, then maybe not quite sure what to do. He's definitely one to get to level 60, and he's going to help you a lot, not only in the areas mentioned, but also in, for example, Faction Wars. He is going to be of great assistance to you. So that's it for the day. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you got something out of the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.